I have been really into moths lately, so I figured I would draw the amazing digital circus cast as moths. First, I'm starting with Pomni, because duh. I'm drawing her as a Composia fiddledissima, also more commonly known as the Faithful Beauty or the Uncle Sam moth. You can see kind of faded in the background, there is a moth silhouette that is my own moth character, Asher. I might make a video on my drawing of him soon, but I'm just using him as a base because I figured why not? Easier that way. I'll give you some fun facts about the moth and any fun facts I can find about the character. Most moths are dimorphic, meaning the females and males look different, such as the Faithful Beauty having smaller but brighter colors in the males, and the females have bigger bodies but duller colors. But moths in general tend to have females with bigger butts and males with bigger antennae. You might think moths only come out during the night, but there are some day flyers, including the Faithful Beauty. I chose the Composia fiddledissima because it has a similar color set to Pomni. From what I'm aware of, it has no chosen symbolism, but its nickname is the Faithful Beauty, so I'm assuming it represents being faithful. One thing I actually missed while drawing it is the fiddledissima has a black underside of the butt with a white stripe, not an entirely blue butt, so that's my bad. They are most commonly found in Florida, but on the southern side of America in general, I believe, and they are most commonly found in the Florida Keys on hiking trails. They have a variety of host plants, but the main one they use is the devil's potato or the Achites umbellata. The host plant is what they eat when they first hatch and what they lay their eggs on after they've mated. When they get to their cocoon stage, they stay in for 2 to 2.5 weeks and they fly year-round. As caterpillars, they eat toxic plants, which they store the toxins to use them later as adults. They can release them as a foam from the lower torso or upper abdomen. Symptoms of this toxin include, but are not limited to, skin rashes, visual disturbances, lethargy, odd or irregular heartbeats, and in worst cases, death. But that is only if the toxin is consumed. If it touches your skin, you will be fine. Couldn't find any fun facts on Pomni, but I'll share Jax with you later. Hello, I'm back. I drew Jax as, originally I drew him as a imperial moth, but I didn't like how that came out, so I changed it to a Dysphonia pneumona, or more commonly known as the peacock jewel moth, or as the 4 o'clock moth. The 4 o'clock moth can be found in many locations around the world, including the Ambon Islands of Indonesia, the Kiriwina Islands of Papua New Guinea, as well as a few locations in Australia, such as the Western Side, Queensland, the Northern Territory, and Tasmania. Their wingspan averages on about 3 to 4 inches, but it can vary depending on the location. The colors on their wings include the main body being either purple, blue, or a slate gray, with a variation depending on location or setting. They have transparent-ish gray spots all over both the fore and the back wings, and the back wings have little orangey yellow spots at the very tips. Their host plant is the Mirabilis jalapa, also known as the Miracle of Peru or the 4 o'clock flower. The host plant is what the moths eat when they first hatch and what the female moths lay their eggs on once they've mated. As their nicknames suggest, the flower blooms at about 4 o'clock, being late afternoon. The moth comes out about 4 o'clock, but again, it depends on where you are or just the timing. The caterpillars are geometrid, meaning they walk similar to how an inchworm walks. They do this because they have 3 legs at the front of their body and at the end, not any along their body. So they have like a loop, and then they go forward. When 4 o'clock moth caterpillars rest, they stand on their hind legs straight up, and they kind of not harden, but they straighten out and like tense, so they look like a bud for a flower on the plant. I do believe, since they come out while the sun is still up, they are day flyers. So I guess it's up to interpretation and or where you live, but I'd say they're day flyers. The 4 o'clock moth can produce silk as a caterpillar, but not very much from what I'm aware of. As such, their cocoon is 3 to 4 leaves all wrapped together with silk, and then they sit in there. Sometimes they'll have little spider or beetle friends hang out with them while they pupate, and then they come out and they prefer shade once they're moths. Now I will go on to what facts I can find about Jax. First one being that Jax is Gooseworks' favorite character. Gooseworks took some inspiration from herself when creating Jax, hence why he is sarcastic and unempathetic. Jax is the youngest character of the main cast, being that he is 22. Zooble is also 22, but she's 6 months older than Jax, so technically Jax is younger. One thing I forgot to mention in the previous video is I believe all of the characters have a power or ability. Pomni's being she's very rubber, almost like a Stretch Armstrong or one of those rubber monkeys. And Jax appears to be very agile. He can move quick. If you look in the scene where they open the door to see Kaufmo, Jax grabs the bowling ball, says, "Thank you, I'm just gonna borrow this," and then he poofs into a cloud and gets away. And when he jumps into, quote, the Zooble hole, he is very agile and he swings into it. Gooseworks has gone on to state that Jax is the worst character of the cast and nobody in the circus really likes him, and that he will in fact be getting worse through the episodes. We can in fact see that only now with episode 2, Candy Canyon Kingdom. He is much worse than he was in episode 1. I am now going to leave you with the background music as I do Zooble next time. Bye! Hello. Today I drew Zooble as a Polytella gloriaceae, also known as the Indian lily moth. When the lily moth caterpillar pupates, it makes a cell underground, and it sits in there for about 11 days before coming out as the moth. The lily moth can be found in multiple locations around the world, including Indonesia, Sri Lanka, and, after its namesake, India. I believe this is the first moth that I've drawn that's nocturnal. Also coming from its namesake is its host plant are lilies. It doesn't seem to have a specific lily it likes. They tend to pick whichever ones just happen to be in the area. And on this comment, I have no personal experience, but I've heard that they can be a minor pest, but they are not a major inconvenience to the plant. Despite the top of their wings being a bright royal blue with accents of pink and yellow, their underside is mostly gray with the orangish yellow accents. Some lily moths have a more green coloration than blue, and if you notice, they actually have false eyes, which is to scare off predators. One thing I wanted to do was make her kind of look like a toy, kind of like the original character that Zooble is. So I made one arm removed. Originally I was going to swap the pink arm for a wing, but I thought, what if I just made the arm pink? That would make it more lined up, I guess. I don't know. And then the moth's antennae is actually more like the blue antennae than the yellow one. And if you look for one of the little emotes I drew, it's from the Meet the Gang video when their antennae are on the wrong side. I thought that was really cute. I know I mentioned that they have a variety of lily plants they pick from, but I will list the main ones listed on Wikipedia. Don't hate me for using Wikipedia. That's just what I'm pulling from for now. First is the Glorissa superba, or more commonly known as the fire lily or the tiger claw. The Crinum asiaticum, also known as the poison bulb or the spider lily, the Zephyranthus minuta or the rain lily, the Zephyranthus catrina or the yellow rain lily, and the Scadoxus multiflorus, also known as the blood lily. Sorry for any lily nerds if I butchered those names, I am trying my best here. One thing I actually noticed when drawing this moth is its butt isn't very fluffy, it's just like the end. It's actually mostly scaly. so that's fun. One thing I will just mention now is I pull my facts from all over, being YouTube, websites, Wikipedia, some obscure websites, so feel free to correct me at any time in the comments if I get something wrong or if you know something that I don't. I will now move on to what I can find about Zooble, which I don't know how much that'll be, but the first thing I will mention is they go by any pronouns, so I don't care if you hate that, that's just the canon fact, and I am stating it now. The toy that Zooble is based on are called Zolo. They have a website, and they were first created in 1986. They were kind of like Mr. Potato Heads, but they have more options, and from what I'm aware of, they're still sold today. I saw a listing on Amazon. I'm presuming they're also on places such as eBay and or Etsy. As I mentioned before, I believe all of the characters have a power of sorts. Zooble's is the most blatant though, with them being able to take off and swap out parts. One of the things that they absolutely hate is when their parts are taken off or misplaced without them doing it themselves. One thing I actually didn't mention before was the background songs that I use, which I totally should have been doing. The first one that I used was for Pomni. It was called Digital Hallucinations. It's by Or30, and it features all of the official voice actors for the Amazing Digital Circus cast. So if you haven't heard it, I would totally give it a listen. It is so good. For Jax, I chose the song Jack's Toy by Jake and Neutron, which featured Michael Kovac and Amanda Hufford, who are the official voice actors for Jax and Ragatha. Then, here for Zooble, I chose Zooble Song by Moths. It's not my favorite song ever, but it's not bad per se. I'd totally give it a listen if you're a Zooble fan. Another thing that I should have been doing that I have not is mentioning their VAs, or voice actors. First is, I'm going to list Zooble. Their voice actor is Ashley Nichols. Pomni's VA is Lizzie Freeman. Jax's voice actor, Michael Kovac, has been in multiple things, including Murder Drones, Lackadaisy, The Has-Been Hotel Pilot, and Jax in The Amazing Digital Circus. I am now going to leave you with the background music once again, and we'll see you next time for Ragatha. Bye! I believe today is day 4 of drawing the Amazing Digital Circus as Moths. Today, I have Ragatha as the Zygana philippindilae, or the 6-spotted burnet moth. Usually when I pull from sites, the information is somewhat consistent, but this one is not, so please just let me know. Supposedly, they are native to England, Scotland, Wales, some locations in Syria, and Lebanon. The information on this moth seems to be very much varied due to probably its spread throughout the world, but I will share what I find and you can tell me if it's right or wrong. One thing consistent that I can find, and makes quite a lot of sense, is that they like grassy areas and sometimes sand dunes, but I don't know how true that is. Their host plants include legumes, can't find any specific ones, as well as thistles, knapweed, and scabus, also known as a pincushion flower. These moths are day flyers. Their wings tend to be black, sometimes they're iridescent, but they can be shades of gray and blue, hence why I chose it. On rare occasions, this moth will have yellow spots instead of red, and on occasion, the top 2 spots, the closest to the body, are in fact smooshed together, which can make them hard to identify, but usually they're just separated enough to look like 6 spots. The 6-spotted burnet moth shares a very similar or the same poison as the Faithful Beauty does, the same moth I did for Pomni. If you want to learn about some of the side effects, I would go back to that video. 2 of the host plants I failed to mention earlier are the common bird's foot trefoil, and occasionally they use the greater bird's foot trefoil. I think this is the more common host plant, but I am not sure. Now, on to what I can find about Ragatha. First is that her voice actor is Amanda Hufford. I want to mention before I forget, the background song is Ragdoll by Chi Chi. I'm not particularly a fan, but I'd give it a listen. If it wasn't blatantly obvious, Ragatha's character design was taken from Raggedy Ann. To be more specific, I believe it was taken from the Raggedy Ann and Andy's musical adventures. It can be found on YouTube, it's about an hour and a half long, and I'd say it's a good watch. We do know one of her fears. We don't know how great of a fear it is, but we do know she dislikes centipedes. As mentioned in the pilot, Kinger has been in the circus the longest, but second longest is actually Ragatha. Another thing they took from the Raggedy Ann and Andy movie that they pulled the design for Ragatha from is Jax's voice. Michael Kovac was instructed to do a voice similar to Raggedy Andy's, and he decided to put his own twist on it. Sorry I keep coming back to him, there's just a lot coming from that movie and I failed to mention it earlier. I don't know exactly how to specify what I think her power is, but I'm pretty sure it's just like she's a doll. She can get stabbed and beat up, but she's just durable, I guess? I don't know. I am now going to leave you with Ragatha. Next time I'll bring you Gangle. Bye! Hello, I am here with Gangle as the Archaea Kaha, also known as the Garden Tiger Moth. Also, can I just say, I think this is my favorite moth that I've drawn so far. It is so beautiful, the pattern on the forewings. Garden Tiger Moths can be found in the northern United States, Canada, and some places in Europe such as the Netherlands and maybe Sweden. I will be specifying that they are Garden Tiger Moths because there are other tiger moths. There's one just labeled the Tiger Moth, and there's one labeled the tiger moth, but it's actually the virgin tiger moth. TikTok don't hate me for saying that. And they have a slightly different pattern on the wings, and I think their life cycle is a touch different. As similar for most moths, bright color on their hind wings indicates that they are toxic when consumed. They have neurotoxic choline esters, and the common side effects are sweating, dizziness, nausea, and some other common cold side effects. The moth doesn't seem to like a specific host plant. They'll eat pretty much any low-hanging plant, such as dandelions, plantains, blackberries, cherries, and I've even heard they like to eat like household lettuce. As I've stated before, moths are usually dimorphic. In this species, it's unclear if the males or the females have which distinction. I believe it's the females have darker colors and the males have more yellowy whites, but I'm unsure. I have multiple sources telling me different things. On to Gangle. She is voiced by Marissa Lenti. The background song is Gangle Song by Moors. Again, not my favorite, but it's not bad. Gangle is actually 26 years old, I believe. Either 26 or 27. I have two sources telling me different things. Gangle's design pulls from two main references. The tragedy and comedy mask associated with theater, as well as Kedamono from Poppy the Performer, a Japanese show that aired on a kids network between 2000 and 2003. You can find episodes of it on YouTube. It is very violent. For some reason, some people seem confused on Gangle's gender for whatever reason. She is a girl. She, her pronouns, so just for the people who didn't know. Gooseworks has confirmed that Gangle's a bit of a weeb, and her favorite anime is Azumanga Daioh. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, I haven't watched that anime. Jax gave her name when she entered the circus, and the word Gangle means to move ungracefully. On July 9th, 2022, Glitch Productions posted an image of Gangle standing in front of a mirror with a bunch of broken comedy masks surrounding her, as well as a black mask with a single eye. This is a reference to Gooseworks' video Blue Channel Thalassin. In one of the clips, a character is making the face dorselessness. I would not recommend watching that video at night. Next time I'm gonna draw Kinger. Also, I'm gonna ask now, but after Kinger, should I draw Gummy Goo, or should I just go straight to the hosts, Bubble and Kane? Bye! Hello! I am here with the final prisoner of the circus, Kinger, as an Abantitis helinitis, also known as the Purple Swift Moth, the Purple Ghost Moth, and the Mustard Ghost Moth. I will just say now, I didn't get any crying please or anything for Gummy Goo, so I will not be drawing him and I will be going straight to Bubble and Kane. There doesn't seem to be very much info on the moth, so I will give what little I can find. First thing that I found is that they are found in Australia, namely from southern Queensland to Tasmania. I believe this is the moth with the biggest dimorphic difference I've seen yet. The males have a big silver/white shape on the back of their forewings, but the females don't. I believe they're also smaller in size, but I'm not 100% sure on that. They don't really have a host plant per se. The females just kind of get close to the ground while they're flying and they plop their eggs out, and the caterpillars eat roots rather than picking a plant to nibble on. They just go around eating roots. I can't find anything definitive, but I believe these moths are nocturnal. According to one article I found, they come out more during the rainy season, but I don't know if that's true. Sorry, I usually try to get about half the video as moth facts and half the video as character facts, but there's really nothing on the moth, and there's very little on Kinger as well, so I'm gonna have to leave you with a lot of background music, sorry. First fact is Kinger's voice actor is Sean Chiplock. The song this time is Kinger's Song by Moors. Kinger is 48, the oldest in the group. Also mentioned in the pilot, he has been in the circus the longest. One thing I wish I had mentioned in the Zooble video is that she is the most recent addition before Pomni. In Glitch Productions, a very special digital circus song, the singer Kinger part is still Sean Chiplock. I don't know either. That song is dubiously canon, but if it is, then we know that Kinger, to a degree, likes bananas. In the pilot, Kinger seems to take a liking to the thought of a bug collection. It's not super carried through to the second episode, but we do see him take interest in butterflies and mentioning, oh, they have little candy bugs here. So it might continue as a thing, or it might just be a passing fad for the first few episodes. One thing that I have seen misconstrued quite a lot is his relationship with Queenie. All we know is that she existed. We have seen none of her character, or we haven't seen her mentioned, and how Kinger reacts to maybe her being brought up. So I don't know where we got the idea that he knew her, or anything like that. They could have met and then she abstracted and then he barely knew her. So maybe we can tone that down a little bit. I don't know if from the outside it looks like I'm posting after a big break, but I'm not trying to. From my perspective, I can't tell if it's been a while. I try to keep my posting as consistent as possible, but I'm clearly not very good at that. So I'm trying to work on some personal projects as well, and some of the personal projects I actually plan on showing, but I have a lot of stuff to do before I can show them. So I'm trying to get those done. Enough of my personal worries. As of right now, I cannot distinguish what I believe Kinger's power is. Maybe we'll see it here in future episodes. I believe that is all I have for you for this video. I will see you next time with Bubble. Bye!
Reaction time taking up to seconds a day. It says he loves collecting land with gas.
Second to last drawing of the series, I have Bubble as the Zephonodes helus, also known as the coffee clearwing or the hummingbird moth. Now you may or may not have seen the thumbnail. If you did, you're probably like, whoa, okay, why does it look so different? That's because I figured Bubble feels very different as a character. All the others feel anthropomorphic, even if evil? Anthropomorphic, but he didn't, so I drew Bubble as a straight-up moth instead of as a anthropomorphic one. If I get asked for it, I can draw him as an anthropomorphic moth, but I think it suits him better to just be a moth straight up. So, first fact on the moth is coffee clearwings are a type of hawk moth, and all hawk moths' caterpillars are hornworms, which means they are easily identified by the horns on their rear end. They are most commonly found in the East, the Middle East, Africa, India, Sri Lanka, Japan, Southeast Asia, and some parts of Australia. The clearwings' host plants include those of the Rubiaceae family, such as coffee, gardenia, snowberry, and private. The plant is not private, that's just the name of the plant. When these moths first emerge, their clear wings actually have white scales on them, which once they take first flight, fall off. These moths have the nickname hummingbird moths, which I think is because of two reasons. One, they're day flyers. Just as hummingbirds are a bird, as well as the way they collect pollen is very, very similar to how hummingbirds collect nectar. They hover in the air in front of the plant they're collecting pollen from and use their little freaking moth mouth to suck out all the pollen. I don't know how it works, but that's what they do. Up first with Bubble Facts, we have that Bubble is voiced by Gooseworks themselves. Look at her go. The background song is Bubble Song by Benji X Scarlet. I don't know if it's immediately obvious, but Bubble, the original character, took inspiration from a Chain Chomps from Mario. As seen by episode 2 of The Amazing Digital Circus, it does not appear that Kane or Bubble are affected by Kane's sensor. It seems that it was a self-censor by Gooseworks. Obviously, I mean being meta here, but still. So Bubble and Kane are AI, right? Kane is a generative AI, but Bubble seems to just be interested in destruction, and he doesn't seem to be like an iterative AI or anything that we're aware of, at least. So I'm wondering if he's just a random like generative AI that just doesn't make sense and is less developed, or if he's an AI that I'm not aware of yet. I don't know. Despite Gooseworks voicing Bubble, she seems to like him the least. Like, hates him. And actually, in voicing Bubble, she uses a voice filter to pitch her voice up. In episode 2, after Kane pushes the participants into the Candy Canyon Kingdom, he starts blowing a bubble pipe. And then Bubble turns up and Kane offers, and Bubble is like, I'm trying to quit, sorry. What are you trying to quit there, Bubble? And I will leave you now with Coffee Clear Wing Bubble as I give you Kane next time. Imagine if Gooseworks saw this. See you next time. Bye.
Hey guys, normally I would do the voiceover myself, but it's PM and I am not in the mental state. My mom wanted transparent paintings of some of the moths, so I was putting the layers in a group so I could move it to another canvas and share it to her. But I had picked up a layer and some at the same time picked up the group which has all the render layers in it. I let go not knowing what happened, but I figured I could undo or fix it. A pop-up in app said uploading too. I hit cancel, and then it deleted all the render layers and the color layer. I double tapped and got all the render layers back, but I lost the color layer. So now I have to redo all the color. My dad tried to reload a backup from earlier today. It didn't work. I don't know what I did or how to undo it. Any ideas?
Oh my god, last episode I have Kane as the Megagalopus operculoris, or the flannel moth. Two things. That was very hard to remember and to say. Second is this moth is, you know how there's like families like hawk moth and luna moth? Flannel moth is kind of like that, but they're all kind of the same other than like the pattern. There's a southern flannel moth, and then there's the white flannel moth, and then there's this one, the red and white flannel moth. So it's kind of like other moths, but not really. Flannel moths can be found in the south and southeastern parts of the United States, namely states like New Hampshire and Florida. Flannel moths have a variety of host plants, including oak trees, maple trees, willow trees, elm trees, beech trees, and hickory trees. They also go for a variety of shrubs, including avicna, camellia, hibiscus, prunus, and roses. Now, the fuzzy puss caterpillar, or the ASP caterpillar, which is the caterpillar for the flannel moth, is very fuzzy and cute looking. You can look up a picture. It looks very soft, and you might want to pet it if you find one in the wild, but do not. They have poisonous spines under the fur, which cause immediate intense waves of pain, followed by swelling and rashes, as well as waves of nausea and vomiting, symptoms of anxiety, as well as muscle cramps, and etc. But, good news, after the flannel moths pupate, they are no longer poisonous to the touch. I would still be careful with them because they're delicate little bugs, but they aren't harmful to humans anymore. Only dimorphic difference between the male and the female flannel moths are general size as well as antennae. Males have fluffier antennae than the females. first character fact is that Cain is voiced by Alex Rochon. Sorry if I butchered that, I can't find any definitive pronunciation of the last name. Second is the background song is Anything Can Go by CG5. You can dog on the creator as much as you want, that song is a bop and I love it. Cain is a generative AI, similar to OpenAI, ChatGPT, NVIDIA, and Google AI. I believe Cain's main inspiration was Am from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, written by Harlan Ellison in 1967. Basic synopsis is someone who's listened to the audiobook is the countries in a hypothetical World War III all build supercomputers. The supercomputers all have their own short acronym names, the one in the US being named AM, A-M. Collectively, the supercomputers kill all humanity except for Am, who keeps 5 people alive and tortures them relentlessly, keeping them alive eternally. Spoiler, but at the end of the book, the main character manages to kill all the rest of the tortured humans except for themselves. Am tortures them relentlessly till the end of time. It's kind of a good ending, but not really. Though we are unsure if any inspiration was taken from this, we do know that Cain got his name from the biblical story of Cain and Abel. Cain and Abel were Adam and Eve's first sons, and when God rejected Cain's sacrifices but approved of Abel's, Cain killed Abel and became the first murderer. I'm not religious, I got that off Google, so if someone knows if I got something wrong, just let me know in the comments. Other than Cain's beautiful denture teeth, the main thing about his design is definitely his 2 different colored eyes. The name of the condition IRL is called heterochromia, for anyone who did not know. Cain is an AI, so he does not have a real age. He's as old as the Circus is, so once we figure out how old the Circus is, we'll know how old Cain is. We all know Jax loves to break the 4th wall, and the only other character that we're aware of that knows how to do it is Cain and Bubble. The original version of the theme song during the pilot was going to be all Cain, and it was a lot more anxiety-inducing, I want to say. It felt a lot more like not ambient. You know what I mean. But also just like generally more like spooky and eerie. Cain doesn't fall under a villain category per se, but he is definitely the antagonist. So that is the last video. I will make a sum video later. Goodbye.
Anything can go.